Press day, Monster Energy Supercross round 2. There goes Austin Forkner. We are in St. Louis, the Dome at America's Center. If you're wondering how press day works, at Anaheim 1, they invite everybody. Every other round, a few select teams. Each team has to do 2 press days per year. So we're not going to get the full assortment, but we got some big names. Here comes Ken Roczen. And we not only get to watch them ride an abbreviated version of the track, but we also get to talk to them about how their week went. It's all brought to you by Racetech. You know all about gold valves, better traction, better bottoming resistance, plusher feel, all made, designed, and engineered in the USA. There goes Cameron McAdoo. So what did these riders learn about their bike setup after the first round? Well, I had a chance to talk to a bunch of these riders. So I'll go around and around the track and round and around the field. There goes Dylan Ferrandis. There goes Justin Hill. There's Forkner again, Benny Bloss. There are some guys taking videos of the videos. So, round 1, a big story was Ken Roczen himself, who got a fairly disappointing 6th place, then went on social media and said that his bike was too stiff. He's a little frustrated because he did say that even though he said in the post, I'm not making excuses, he did get grilled by a few fans saying stop making excuses. So Kenny does admit that he runs his bike stiffer than he did back in 2017. When he had that big crash at Anaheim 2 that year, it was because the bike got so low in the stroke because his bike was soft and it rebounded up and got him. I think it also could result in dragging your pegs more because you have less ground clearance when the bike compresses. So he does generally run his bike a lot stiffer than he used to. And yes, that did come back to bite him because his bike was too stiff. How stiff? Well, they didn't want to completely change everything this week, but they looked into the settings, they changed them a little bit, and Ken says, whoa, hang on, Forkner. Ken says his bike is actually stiffer than Malcolm Stewart's. Stiffer than Malcolm Stewart's. Think about that. So they softened it a little bit. He said really in a 3-day riding week and you're trying to get your training motos in, you don't have enough time to completely reinvent everything, so they have made some changes. Of course, he doesn't know how much change he will need to make as opposed to maybe this track will just be different and maybe it'll work anyway. But his goal, like all the riders, they'll always tell you, his goal is to try to get a bike that just feels comfortable under all circumstances and not be chasing the track every weekend. But Kenny wasn't too bummed on it, but he just wanted to make it clear he did not fade, he did not get tired. It's just the track kept getting worse and the bike was too stiff. So that's the Ken Roczen story. All the riders said that Anaheim 1's track was surprisingly difficult, surprisingly notchy, no flow, rutted in areas they didn't expect to be rutted, square bumps, really tough. So everyone has had to revise things a little bit, either change the bike or just assume it was the track that got them. For example, I talked to Justin Hill. I thought it was a good run for Justin Hill. He got top 10 and he looked much feistier, much more aggressive than he did in any main event, I feel, last year. And he said, yes, if this were last year, a 10th like that, I would have felt good about that. But I feel so much better this year that that's not acceptable to me. He didn't like the way he rode. He said he was trying really hard not to override the track, not overjump things, and he actually ended up clipping a lot of the landings because he wasn't pushing hard enough in spots. He didn't want to override, and then he ended up underriding. And then when you start clipping things, you lose energy. It comes back to haunt you. Hill says to him, he doesn't feel like the fitness has ever been an issue. When he rides right, he says he can do 40 laps without getting tired. The problem is last year, he was having to work so hard, he felt, on the track, making mistakes, trying to clear obstacles, that it took all his energy. And Anaheim 1, he was clipping landings, took all his energy. He feels he's got a lot more to give than he had at that race last weekend, and 10th place is not going to make him happy. He wants to do a whole lot better than that, so that's Hill. Justin Brayton, my guy, awesome run in the heat race. In the main, he admitted there really was no flow, and he did get a little bit tired when he was under pressure from about 5 riders. Got knocked down by Anderson, that was okay, he wasn't mad about that, but he did say once that pressure was gone and all those guys went around him, said the last 4 or 6 laps of the race, he started riding really well, better than he did in the beginning. So he can take a little positive out of that, not making bike changes. He's been riding a similar bike throughout Australia in the off-season rounds. He's not gonna freak out over Anaheim 1. On to the 250 class, I talked to the race winner and now red plate man, the 32 of Justin Cooper. I asked if there was any sort of celebration. No, he can't eat anything differently. He's not gonna drink a beer, trying to stay in the title hunt for sure. But he did say that he went on a hike. He went on a hike. That was something different. And most importantly, to smile never left his face all week, he said, and his mechanic backed that up. He said he's been beaming ear to ear. So that's cool for Cooper. As for, there's Cooper right there, red plate. And I talked to Cameron McAdoo, who I did not get a chance to talk to last week. He finished 6th in Anaheim, and he said he wasn't happy about that at all. I said, dude, you look good, you rode well, and he said, doesn't matter. He's after one thing and one thing only, and that is results. And if he doesn't get the result and finishes 6th, he's not happy. So expect more from McAdoo. Looks like some of the dudes are gonna pull it on in. Checkered flag is out on this session. They're gonna debrief with their mechanics. That's the Weege show. And by the way, we give away these gold valves. Look underneath, it says, go to racetech.com/Weege show, and there will be an email link. Get yourself a set. Racetech, get your bike dialed like these guys.